Okay, guys, just wanted to give my thoughts on tonight's episode of Arrow, and which was season 7, episode 5, The Demon, and Legends, season 4, episode 4, Wet Hot American Bummer. So I'm not gonna be able. So just because of my schedule, from I wasn't able to do. I was only able to upload reactions to my Sunday shows. Just tonight, and also the fact that it's getting late, and I don't want to stay up doing personally to stay up doing another trying to put together reaction videos, and the my software just isn't saving the information. So I'm just gonna do so just for this week. I'm just gonna do reviews of Arrow and Legends. So for Arrow, Oliver's down level 2. They have some like electric brace on his wrist. To kind of shock him into submission, and he went down there to try to confront the demon, the person who was the middleman to Diaz, and who was his guy on the person on the inside to sent to have Oliver assassinated. And he's finally and in hindsight, it should this of course like it would have something to do with her, but it turns out the demon is Talia al Ghul. She did survive Lian Yu. And she said like a former adversary had her locked away in Slabside from Gotham, presume obviously Batman, but they can't mention him by name. And so she said that she barely survived the Lian Yu explosion. She still has scars from the explosion. And apparently she was rescued by Diaz, probably, when he was still in bed with, so to speak, with Caden James. And I guess it sounded like she got like the B grade Mirakuru, essentially, that Diaz took at the end of last week's episode. Um, or I guess or at least something to allow her to heal from her injuries, and so of course she felt indebted to Diaz to just act as carry out the hit on Oliver while inside a prison. And I was like thrilled that she's back. I like the actress, I like this character, and I felt like it was kind of a wasted opportunity in season 5 that we didn't see like more of her in the flashbacks or in this present days, because Prometheus was center stage, and I just thought she would be a great recurring villain. I'm glad they brought her back, and she obviously still has a grudge against Oliver, but at the same time, she feels like she needs him as an ally, as a means of escaping from level 2, since Dr. Parker has been experimenting on patients, and so even though they try to, I mean, Oliver does apologize, saying it's like I had no idea, I couldn't see, you know, beyond your father's intentions for my city, that he was going to take him away from his family, and apologize for that. But I think she was just trying to like, I feel like he was just trying to like just get in her good graces and appeal. And but event but of course, Felicity was coming to visit Oliver, but because he was in level 2, his visitation rights were revoked. And so luckily Stanley was there. And someone came to visit him and was able to tell Felicity about what was going on, and that she enlisted the help of both Dinah and Black Siren in order to investigate stuff about level 2 and Dr. Parker. And turns out that level 2 doesn't even exist in the files on Slabside. And then they were able to, but talking with Dinah, they go through some old cases from Dr. Parker about how he used to, I guess, drug his, I guess, like complaints about malpractice, and how he caused some like chemical induced amnesia to past patients, and they realized what was going on. They had to get Oliver out of there. Um, that being said, it ended. I mean, Oliver ended up with Talia's help out being able to, escape, escape from Dr. Parker when they had this whole scheme to get themselves like subdued and dragged into his lab to be experimented on. But of course, they got the drop on him, and Oliver telling Talia that he was wrong about trying to give the monster his dark side an identity in the form of the hood. That that it just gave it more power. That keeping them separate didn't really rectify the situation. But I guess but being able to appeal to their history and saying I was your student once. Kind of in the same way he was trying to appeal to Anatoly's good side during season 6. Work had the same effect, and Oliver was able to convince Talia to get, while escaping, that he's decided to stay behind because, being a fugitive, he'd be a fugitive forever, and he didn't want to put his family through that. He gave Talia a thumb drive with all the information about Dr. Parker and and all the shady dealings going on in level 2 to pass to Felicity, which she does. I mean, granted, Felicity, Dinah, and Black Siren don't know where it came from, that she's the one who left it for them, but they decide that it's enough evidence to have Oliver's conviction overturned, and Oliver returns back to level 1 of the prison. And he finds out from Stanley how Felicity says that they have a new lead on Diaz and they're getting close, which is basically Felicity secretly putting a tracker on Silencer when she was holding her captive, and you see like it leads to them going to Moscow, and Diaz like slaughtered a bunch of people with his super strength, and apparently he's going after Anatoly in revenge for betraying him. But again, it's like it's. I guess somebody made this comment online about how they felt like they thought it would have been better for Diaz to become more obsessive instead of just like relying on super strength serum that he or like hiding behind the longbow hunters, that he kind of learned to like hone his own fighting skills like obsessively, just so he can ever if you're ever faced off against Oliver again, that they would be more on par, or just anybody from Team Arrow. But it just feels like they just kind of keep coming up with these plot conveniences where Diaz said like, yeah, he broke every bone in his body when he got knocked off that roof by Black Siren, as one would, but yet he survived just because plot. There was no explanation for it. I mean, it sounds like. I mean, it was kind of unclear to me whether or not like he got his hands on some of that strength serum beforehand and used that to heal himself, but I just don't like how they was characterizing him and just kind of like coming with one plot convenience after another to justify him being around for as long, being on this show for as long as he has. Like I said, it would have been better to see Talia al Ghul again as a big bad, or somebody. But it is what it is. I mean, hopefully it's not the last we see of Talia, since she's out of jail and she took her revenge on Dr. Parker. And I mean, I guess the only other, I mean, there was like a C plot where Curtis was like reluctant to get back into any kind of crime fighting because it cost him how much it cost him, and Dick Lively gave him a pep talk to go through with the sting operation, and then they said they talked about some painting. I guess was involved with something Lila was investigating a couple episodes ago, but I believe that was just something to give those a storyline to give those two something to do, which has no relevance on it. And I guess the thing is, like, they're apparently trying to juggle a large cast, just like Flash is doing now. But where they have Nora's storyline and or how her being there impacts their characters in the timeline, and then Caitlyn's B story of trying to figure out the origins of Killer Frost and her dad. And but at least this side plot is just something I just don't I can't they haven't given me a reason to get invested in it, and I don't care about it, which is probably the only I guess pretty much like the only thing complaint I had about that episode about the episode is just I just don't care about that. I was kind of hoping to see more of like flash forwards from last week, especially since we saw Zoe as a new Black Canary in 2038, and Felicity is apparently dead by then. So I would have taken more flash forwards as opposed to this Curtis Diggle C story, to be honest. But overall, it was a very very solid episode. Probably one of my favorites in this the season so far, especially with Talia's return, was just icing on the cake. With Legends, they basically have to, and pretty much after watching a horror movie that was supposedly based on real events, Sarah and Ava start to suspect that it may be kind of an anachronism, or say like an aberration caused by a magical fugitive. Gideon contacts them, and it turns out they're right. So they end up having to travel to, I guess, a camp in, I forgot what the camp's called. I think Otagua or something like that. It's it's in basically a camp in Maine in 1995. So they have Ray, Constantine, Sarah, and Ava trying to be the camp counselors. Ava just kind of being this, kind of being strict with the kids, and telling them to go to sleep during the daytime, and which I guess it was supposed to be for comedy, but it just felt like, okay, that doesn't make any sense. And I guess trying to, Sarah being, very sentimental and, giddy about, being in the summer camp setting again, and how much she reminisced how much fun she had doing it. And with Ava, being she was a clone, she never got to have that kind of childhood experience. And I guess she gets to have this now when, in order to lure out the magical fugitive, that Constantine gives them both the potions to turn them back into kids, to make them the same age as the campers, and get them to open up about what's been going on and how the kids have been disappearing. And you kind of can tell, young Ava was struggling to, kind of like fit in and relate to the kids, but, playing a game of truth or dare and getting them ice cream kind of got her back in their good graces. It was kind of cool, it kind of reminded me of the episode of like Justice League Unlimited, which I don't remember, I guess, where we had like Green Lantern and Wonder Woman and Batman being turned into kids, having to deal with I think what was it? I think Morgana Le Fay. I don't remember it. Dealing with her son, but anyway, it kind of reminded me of that. It was nice to see tiny versions of, or younger versions of, Sarah and Ava just kicking ass and just beating the crap out of the camp counselor, who seemed like apathetic about the disappearance of the kids, and you thought, okay, this is definitely the magical creature they're looking for. But then, based on a tip they get from Charlie, who's still incarcerated on the ship, that no, like the magical creature, or the breed of magical creature they're looking for, isn't supposed to. It's supposed to be hideous, but they said it's supposed to. But she said that they were all in the same prison with all the magical creatures, and I guess presumably Mollis. And she said that the person looked handsome, and so of course it was actually the camp counselor, the young, like, youthful camp counselor who was getting chummy with Ray at the beginning, and I guess, and who, by the way, was paired up with Constantine, and he was trying, Ray was trying to teach, survival skills, and they were competing to see how they can appeal to the kids and learn more about the magical fugitive. And Constantine was saying is, I knew somebody like you, but it's like you got to be smarter than him because he ended up dying. And they're able to find the shed where all the kids are being held captive, and they were being drained of their life force. But Ray and Constantine cast a spell that reveals the magical creature's more hideous appearance. And Sarah and Ava work together, are able to kill it while the kids are restored. But I guess like Constantine has to use the spell for his own life energy, transfer it to a kid that he almost killed by the magical fugitive because he doesn't want to lose him like like he lost Astra, but it weakens him, and now he's in bad shape to the point where they basically have to go search out Nora Dark in order to help restore Constantine, who I guess is working as a Renaissance fair cook. I guess just to keep a low profile. She's still like a fugitive from the Time Bureau, but it'll be interesting to see like how she plays a role in next week's episode, especially since they have to deal with like a giant like octopus like kaiju in Tokyo. So is she just going to be around just to help restore Constantine, or is she going to play a role in that episode? But I get the first two episodes of Legends was pretty divisive for people. They thought like the unicorn and the fairy godmother stuff was too silly, and I guess I can understand that. I don't know. I personally enjoyed those episodes. I mean, I feel like this is definitely an episode that was going to be more to people's liking. I liked how Charlie was able to bond with Mick, given they were both given him being a former criminal and her just being just kind of just like mischief maker. So it's kind of like recreating the dynamic that Macy and Dominic had when they were playing their respective characters in like second season. But yeah, I'm interested to see what Charlie has to offer, and kind of being this being the more anti-heroic figure, and just seeing how much of Macy's range, and playing this character is going to be complete opposite of Maya. That's going to be fun to see. So what do you guys think of the episodes? What are your predictions for next week's episodes? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. If you like this video, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.